Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about One Punch Man characters, and we're going to be putting them on a tier list for the month of May. So this spans all the way up to January 31st to the end of April, right? There hasn't been really balance changes in terms of stats, but there has been buffs to AIs for specifically Fubuki, I think. Um, so there is that, and keep in mind that I am a player who is free to play. I'll be considering mostly P0 of these guys, um, and I've been playing also since day one, hour one of the game's release. All right, so we have the S tier, the A tier, the B tier, the C tier, and the D tier. So we're gonna put the D tier as don't use. All right, C tier is going to be viable, and then B tier is going to be decent. A tier is going to be great, and S tier is going to be meta. You want these all on your team. You just want these guys on all of your teams, right? So here's how it's going to go. First, starting off, Speed of Sound Sonic. I actually don't really know his damage scaling too well, but I think I saw it in the test, and it is pretty good. For like the character kind of practice where you get the 50 silver from, his test is pretty good, and I think his damage scales pretty well with all these other guys. I don't own this character right now. I've tried drawing for him, but I did get this guy. I did get Saitama instead, so that is very unfortunate. But again, he's got to up there. He's really good. A lot of new characters have been very, very good, solid lately, including Amai Mask. So I'll get to him later. Sonic just has a lot of good moves. He can use a lot of his abilities. He's not stuck just using his M1. He's very fluid. He has a block and he has a dodge. Plus his shadow clones do a lot of damage, and you have the option to use them all up for a flurry of attacks or keep them in to do longer periods of damage. So there is that. Now we have SR Genos. Genos, I'm going to put him in great. He's a very great character. I have a build with Range of Truth and Blatant Strike on him, maxed with crit and build, and he gets 100% crit rate. So if I just put him in optimal distance and the enemy's facing me, I have a 100% crit rate. So it actually crits every single time, and he's very, very easy to use, kind of, in a way where you just use your E ability to fully charge your meter, then you use your Q, right? Then you use your R after your Q recharges your R, and then there's already one bar because you hit the shot dead on, right? And then you're going to just use your R again to charge up your Q, RQ, 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 RQ. That's all you're going to do, and it does do very, very high amounts of damage, and it is also very runnable on AI and also on your main character. Now we're going to go for Lily here. Lily is a solid character. I was thinking of maining her right when I started the game, but of course she kind of fell off from there, and I kind of didn't get the right memories for her, so she just kind of fell down, and I also didn't get the right potential, as I had Genos maxed out on potential. She's still a really great character. I really do like her animations. Her attacks are very have like a lot of flow. You can kind of get really into them. You got a accurate dodge as well that can really help you out there, and you have a mode, so that does help with your damage. And yeah, usually modes are pretty bad because you need to have consistency with your character, right? And if your character relies on a mode, then you're probably not gonna be in your mode for the entire fight unless you level up your potentials, etc., right? Or max out your ability affixes. So yeah, she's probably bottom of great tier. She's a very good character here, and I'll move her down as it goes, depending on how many characters I put on here. Now we got Lightning Max. Lightning Max is actually top of decent. He's actually really good. He hits hard, pretty hard with his R. He actually can dodge his enemies with his when you charge up full gunpowder and you spam M1. That's actually really good because it is a good M1 move. I really like having good M1s because they can help your character when you're just attacking in between abilities. So this is actually very good. Very strong. His ability recharge is nice. Keeps a good flow of his motions. He's overall a pretty good character. I might put him bottom of great, but he's a good character. I like him. I don't use him too much, but he is a solid character. Now Stinger is very good, but he gets knocked back really easily. Now, I might be biased in favor of Stinger because I actually really like this guy's character. He's very good. I might put him on top of decent. Actually, I don't know, but I might move these guys later. But Stinger, he does good damage. He has a hold down in your M1, and it does a lot of damage. I like where M1s are actually useful. They do damage, right? You can also click, just a single click, right? So to increase your bar, and then you can enter your mode. And this guy's mode is an exception. This guy's mode is insane. It hits like a truck. All right, it is absolutely insane. So yeah, he's just really solid when it comes to his mode, and he just does a lot of damage. So yeah, I had to exit out for a little bit because I almost clicked back and erased everything. But yeah, he's very good in his mode. He does have good abilities as well. With his Q being an accurate dodge, that's kind of an okay ability, and his E is pretty good for charging up his mode. But the problem I have with Stinger, why he's not better, is his M1 doesn't do that much damage. It does quite a bit, but it's not from like the amount of attacks it has in quick succession. It's not like it does a lot of damage, and he gets knocked back really easily. He has no he just doesn't, he always gets staggered, which ruins your flow in combat so much, and it really sucks for Stinger. Maybe I'm just a bad player, but it does ruin the flow for Stinger a little bit there. Now we have Iaian. Oh boy, Iaian's the best SR in the game. He has a parry, he has a dodge, just like this guy right here, and his parry is very reliable. His E does a lot of damage. His R, when it can automatically charge up if you use your parries right, does a lot of damage as well. So he's just overall solid character. All of his abilities are good, so that means he's put in the great tier. I wouldn't put him in meta because he is kind of frail in terms of his other like damage stats, and he also gets knocked pretty easily, but he does have a parry which does completely counter that. Spring also up here. Holy cow, there's so many SRs that are actually very solid. I might drop Stinger down to a decent because I've tried him a lot. He's kind of good, kind of not. I'm gonna put him at top of decent for now, right? He's actually pretty good, but there's just so many SRs here that he's kind of not on their level, just a par below. But yeah, Spring does a lot of damage. Ryuk always talk about it a lot, where he does a ton of damage. I think he does do a lot with his E ability. The problem with him, why he's not meta, is because his Q and his R abilities don't really do that much damage, and they're kind of just there. You're just supposed to spam your E, and I really like that when you use your M1, you charge up your abilities, right? That is very good because your M1 actually does something, right? It charges your abilities instead of just being a low damage thing. It charges your abilities, which is really good. Also, if you hit an accurate dodge, you can dodge while you're using your E ability, and what that's gonna do for you is it's gonna actually increase your charge speed, so you're charging actually really quickly, so you don't get that vulnerability there. And he can still attack while dodging, so that is very good. So again, he's very solid for that one reason. Now we have Mumen Rider. I'm putting him in don't use. I don't want you to use your Mumen Rider. He's a negative crit character. He's just not good. There's so many other things that you can use your memories for, like Dream World Saitama, for example. He's just not really that good. His bicycle attack does do alright damage. There was a glitch that you could exploit where you spam your bike move that cancels your mode, but you won't actually cancel your mode if you cancel your probably, but you still get the damage. Yeah, so he's not all that good. He really isn't. His M1's alright. He's very slow, kind of like Jobless Saitama here. He does have a mode, but it's pretty inconsistent, and it's hard to charge up, etc. And it really just isn't that solid of a character, so he is not good to use. But again, if you really want to, you could probably run bottom of viable. But like all these characters, you can actually kind of run, but I really don't suggest using Mumen Rider because there's a lot of other characters that take less effort that give you way more results, right? Like Dream World Saitama, for example. So yeah, don't waste your time on those characters. That's what I'm trying to say. Now we got Jobless. Jobless is the second tank, or one of the only tanks in this game. This guy can be a tank, kind of, but he's just not like his parry is not his main move. So we have Puri-Puri and Saitama. Those are the only two that have their dodge as their parry, so they don't actually have a dodge, but they both have movement abilities for their ability 1s slots, or also known as their Q abilities. They both can run around. Now Saitama, I might put him in don't use. Like, bottom of viable. Okay, he's better than Mumen Rider, right? He's all right. His damage for his M1 is horrible, right? His Q is a rush move that you can spin around a block, so it kind of has mobility, but Puri-Puri's mobility move is so much better. It is insane. The Angel Dash is insane. You just sprint around the field, and it is super fun to use, right? Saitama, not really, because if you just run around for too long, you spin your briefcase, and you're stuck in that one position. Or sometimes I'm trying to like dash out of the gate, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get faster, right, to the battlefield, so I spam my spacebar, right? But with Saitama, it blocks, so it holds me down. That's just something I'm not used to. His parry does do a lot of damage. His mode is actually triggers really quickly, and it does do a pretty decent amount of damage. His E ability is pretty good for attacking, but it doesn't do as much damage as you would like to see from a tank. I get it, he's a tank, but this game really revolves around damage. Damage, right? Maybe not in tier 16 now, since they're doing the bosses actually kill you, but basically there's always time limits, right? Those are the things that are really harming players. It's not just completing the thing, but it's time limits. For example, simulations or Maelstrom, right? Those are two big ones. And Saitama doesn't kill them fast. And yet he's not even that good long game, because he can kind of get hits done. But there's just so many other alternatives. Again, like negative crit, right? You'd run Metal Knight. You put your affixes on Metal Knight. So there's just no point in really running him, but you can if you really, really want to. So he's just alright. Small man, I'm going to put him at bottom of decent. He can do a lot of damage. There's a lot of moves that can actually make him do quite a bit if you build him right. I have a horrible build on him, so I don't really know. His M1, if you spam it, you can get a small man point or whatever it is, and then once you max that out, you can do a huge attack that does a lot of damage, and you can also throw your kendama, right? I don't like that ability. It's pretty bad. It doesn't do a lot of damage. It's just really not a good ability to use. And then that kind of drags this whole kit down. Like his kendama, if it did like a lot more damage, like 2 times more damage per hit, then I'd run him. But he doesn't, so it kind of holds him back, right? He is also a healer, mind you, so if you do max out his SR arms, it does heal, doesn't do damage, which is, of course, like I said before, a lot of our stuff relies around damage, composure reduction, that kind of stuff, right? Now we got Atomic Samurai. I'm gonna put him in under here. Stinger can be run on AI somehow. It's actually, Stinger is a very skilled character in my opinion, but AI actually really just does him well. Now for accurate dodge characters or parry characters, like for example, Iaian, Atomic Samurai, Saitama, they really just suck. They really just, like, the AI needs skill, right? And of course they're not going to make the AI perfect, or that's going to be way overpowered, right? They always want to make the AI worse than the actual player. So in doing so, these guys absolutely suck, right? Stinger, his accurate dodge isn't really needed that much. Spring Mustachio's ability isn't really needed that much. And sometimes when you see the AI on the battlefield, they just kind of linger around, they kind of trot around, they don't run and attack. That's when that time is being used to charge Spring Mustachio's skills. So he's actually really good on AI, right? So there's not much time wasted with Spring Mustachio. Lily also has an accurate dodge, but a lot of her kit is also damage. And now Atomic Samurai, his whole kit revolves around accurate dodging. Both of his modes require accurate dodging. Now his modes are different because they're very stable. They're not a limited amount of time, so they are kind of more consistent. There is that. He does do quite a bit of damage, and he's a composure break character, which is very, very good to have for damage. Now the reason is because you get 40% of your composure reduction goes into your attack stat. For example, if you have 200, right? You have 200 composure reduction on one of your substats, you get 80 free attack right on your character, right? Which is actually very, very good. So you could always run composure reduction substats that would actually boost your damage as well, which would be very, very beneficial. So you'd actually do a lot of damage with this guy. You'd have a good high attack stat. but he is not very viable on AI. But he is a solid character. I might put him up here. He's kind of a good character, but his AI sucks, so you have to main him. So if you don't have a good build on him, he's immediately going down the drain. If he isn't your best character you want to main, he's going down the drain. Now, I'm really in favor of flexible characters, right? Characters that are good on player and also AI, so that you can get your fullest out of your character. If you want to bench him, right, you want to play a different character, you can do that without the character absolutely sucking, right? Golden Ball, yo, he's all right. I'm gonna put him in below Saitama. All right, I don't like his 15 golden marks thing. It's really just finicky. It's annoying. Maybe I'm just not good at it. But I had a trouble on this test, right? And he just wasn't that good to use. Like, it's alright. His concept's not bad. He is the only ranged technique attack guy, so he is kind of, you can run range of truth and that kind of stuff. He has a crit build as well. So I like him because I can just dump all my leftover crit builds from Lily. They come down from Sonic to Lily to Golden Ball. I can just chuck him onto that because I have a surplus of that stuff. But he's still not a good character. Even though he gets all those memories, he's not a good character to run. He doesn't do much damage. AI, he's actually pretty decent, but he's not that good. He's a very meh character. So that reason, I'm going to put him in viable. He is viable. You can use him, but he doesn't really pack a punch, right? Arms Genos, he has not been released in the game yet, so I'm not going to put him there. Now we have this boy. Oh my god, he's top. Great. Maybe even meta. I'm going to put him in meta, alright? Here's my reasons. There is a bias here. I'll tell you that. I have a P2 Genos with P3 arms, right? So his arms completely one-shots composure, basically. So I instantly get a composure break, which is good, and I also get a passive composure buff as well. So that does really help my team. He does do a ton of damage for me. He is at 17 KPL, which is good for a free-to-play player, by the way. He has 2 modes that can recharge really quickly if you just get it running, right? If you transfer modes quick enough, you can get 2 charges of each ability, and then you can really just spam that. And if you hit your targets, you know, then it charges your R ability, which then you can refresh more abilities, which can end up having endless ability usage, which is great, right? That's one thing I love about this guy. The one downside that he has is machine gun blows. They do a ton of damage, but if the enemy is constantly moving, like Mosquito Girl teleporting, anybody really, if they're just moving around, this guy's stuck just spamming, punching as fast as he can into thin air. He's punching thin air, right? So then you have to go dodge, cancel the ability, then go back to him, and then you won't get those points that charge up your ability 3. So if you miss it again, then you have to use your M1s to charge up your ability 3, which is very awkward. So there's that. But he is a very solid character, so I'm going to put him here. He's not as good as this guy. He's probably bottom of meta here, but he is a very, very solid character. Now, Dream World Saitama. I'm putting him in great. I also want to mention Genos' AI. Pretty solid, but it can obviously be better on player. Now, Saitama, he's not that good on AI. He's really not. He's garbage on AI. He dies too much. He's very frail. But with all those downsides, if you can keep him alive, like with a Silver Fang SSR ability where he heals, right? Whew, he hits hard. Alright, I don't even have a proper build on this guy. I have like 8.6k attack, right? And I have 10,000 attack on Silver Fang. He will hit hard. He will hit like a truck, right? He does like 10,000 damage per punch, and he attacks in quick succession. He's very solid character. I need to learn him more because I actually haven't really learned him that well, but he's a very, very solid character. So that's why I'm putting him in great. Just does a lot of damage. He has a mode, sure, but his mode also makes him do like the serious punch thing, was really cool. And you do more damage in that state. And I have him on P1 right now. So that's that. He's a very solid character. So I'll move on to Speedo Sound Sonic. I'm gonna put him below Iaian. Like, he's good. I really like his dodge ability, and I am getting used to it where it's really easy for me. It's second nature. I can just dodge, counterattack, use the swift moves, whatever, and then use his R to like do the spinning tornado, right? It does do quite a bit of damage. The problem is his attack stat, it's really hard to boost up. like I don't know why, but his attack stat, it just remains low all the time. And I've never been able to fully build him. He's under 10,000 PL right now, barely under that, but he does all right. He does good. He is somewhat viable for me as my team, but if he was like on par with everybody else on my team, he would be very good. He would be great, right? The one issue I have is Q. Q ability does absolutely nothing, right? Unless you have potential on him. And his E ability doesn't do much damage, right? So it's only going to be M1ing, which is kind of bad. So it's alright. M1ing and backstabbing, right? And then if you have full ability affixes, then you can just spam your R as well to do some damage. But yeah, he's a very good dodge character, and he's very fun to play because instead of blocking, you are teleporting behind them and stabbing them in the back, which sounds really awesome. So yeah, if you don't have this character, once you get him, try him out. He's very fun. Puri-Puri, bottom of great. He's good. He's the best tank in the game. He's the best tank out of 2 tanks. He's the best one, right? He has a parry for his block, and he does some damage, right? He's pretty fast with his movement. That's pretty cool and all, but dude, his damage is horrible. AI, not even runnable. Cannot be ran on AI. Cannot be run. AI cannot touch this thing without blowing him up, alright? He does like 8% damage with AI, right? He's kind of hard to build as your number 1 guy. And he does take morale, impassion, and resolute. Guess who else does? This guy, right? So that's something. But when I get to serious training, right, I'm going to be picking this guy up because I don't have him yet. But I have tried him. He's a little bit of a slow attacker, right? Which is kind of alright, I guess. It's just kind of what it is. But he does do some damage. It's still very moderate. Not much at all. Not too much of a shine there in terms of damage. But he is a very good tank with a good parry that can keep him alive as well. And that's something that's good going for him. But he is not good in terms of damage. So that's what really holds him back. Puri needs a buff in terms of damage. Because yes, I get they're tanks. I get they're supposed to take incoming damage. But if my AI is dying with them, and also even when I do block attacks, I don't do enough damage, then we have an issue here. Because, again, like I said, this game has to do a lot with damage. So, if he's not doing damage, he's not good. Zombie Man? Dude, I would put him in meta. I'm very biased here. But I'm going to put him right here. He is great. His gun mode's good. His axe mode's not that good. His mountain quake ability is very good. But his AI sucks. It sucks. It does 16% damage on my team's thing. And he's my main. I run him as my number 1 character. There's something stopping him from being great. He has a parry half the time because he has a second mode, which is really cool. He does do a lot of damage in his gun form. He does increase his abilities charge when he's half HP, so that is good for him. His fake blood is cool, and he's kind of an easy character to master. You play him for a couple days, and you've got the hang of him completely. But I've mastered all the Zombie Man tech with like comboing his abilities and what abilities to use when, where to get the most amount of damage. He's alright. He's a very good character. But AI sucks. It's horrible. So that's why I'm putting him here. You have to run him as your main, but if you don't have a good build on him, you can't even try him out. That's my main issue. King, I love King. He's so cool. They even nerfed him before the game came out. But yeah, can't put him here. He's not in the game. Silver Fang. I've seen Silver Fang shine a little bit more now, but he does kind of suck on AI as well, right? Not as much as Zombie Man. He does. I do have an insanely good build on him with Impassion 7, Resolute Tech 4, Resolute Rage 3, River Trail, which is his ability affix 3, and a Tiger's Might 1. So that's good if I'm running his attack. It gives me this little shield, so that does give me like a 6% boost for Tiger's Might, right? Which is one of his affixes. So he does get a lot of damage boosts in the end. But he's not that good. On player, if you get his potential up, he can be a beast, right? He can be very high up there. But I'm talking about potential 0 when I'm using him. He just doesn't hit hard when he's on AI, but when he's on player, he hits pretty hard. So I'm going to put him here. If you do master his parries takes a lot of skill. It can take you up a whole bunch. So he's alright. I've grown to love him now, but he has thrown matches for my team. He is single-handedly he's healed my team. He's kept them alive, but his damage output, it's really questionable. Some of the time it isn't. Because I have 10,000 attack, he has 8,000. He does like 2 times more when he's on AI. Now, Amai Mask, best character in the game. I'm sorry to say, I'm not even sorry to say it. He's just so good, right? His beats, they're very fun to do. They're very skilled. You have to hit all of your beats. Your M1's actually very strong. He has a dash that's actually very good. He can move around very easily. He looks cool. He plays cool. His animations are fluid. He looks great. His damage. Oh, but his damage. His damage is really solid. Very good at sweeping. If you've seen Amai Mask videos, you know exactly how good he is. That's all I have to say. He is the best character in the game. I only have him at like 7k PL, but I will eventually build him up. Eventually, in meaning 2 months. Tatsumaki, I'll put her here. Top of great. She's good. Her damage can be a little better, I guess, but she's great. Her damage is good. She's good on AI. Her mode sometimes comes out, but if you're really consistent with her and you can dodge well, then you'll be in the mode for almost the entire match, which is really good. So she's very solid in terms of that, and she does do a lot of damage. But she was a little overrated when she first came out, but she is still solid and she's still standing there. Now Snek, I've heard lots of good things about Snek, but I'm gonna put him in below Stinger. I'm not trying to be biased because, you know, I watch all of Ryukoi's videos, I'm gonna be honest. But he says that Snek is really good, right? Not for me. He's horrible, he gets knocked back. I use my accurate dodge on him, right? It kind of doesn't do much damage. I charge my Snake Essence, it's so awkward. When I finally get a Snake Essence down, it does damage, but it's so finicky. Maybe that's just skill. Maybe I should play with him more. But for me, he's just not that solid. He's not really that good. So that's why I'm putting him in decent. Now we got Metal Knight. Metal Knight, oof, where am I going to put Metal Knight? Metal Knight is going to be here. He's a cheat code. He's alright on player. I kind of have some fun using him. He's skilled. He's a very skilled character indeed. But AI runs him like a beast. AI does better than you will ever do. AI will steal your show. He will outfrag you in damage. If you build him up right, he will outfrag you in damage completely. Which is insane. Because that's all you ever need. You need an AI that can kind of carry their own weight and carry your team. And Metal Knight is that guy. So for that reason, I might put him in meta. But he's only great for one reason. Player, it's really hard to play. He's kind of finicky. He's really just awkward to kind of move around and stuff. But he is a very cool character to look at. And he is also a very good character in terms of damage wise. And the numbers, I like to look at that even more because he does a lot of damage. Now for Fubuki, worst SSR in the game. I'm sorry. Dude, she does damage. I might put him a little above, but she's decent. Alright, she's alright for a character. But for an SSR, man, for the rarest characters, for like the 1 in 60 chance of a character, she's not worth it. I don't have her, but she's like a Esper, right? That's what Tatsumaki is, a psychic. And I think she's a fucking melee. She's a melee character, I think. She does have flickering and combos, but I don't totally get that stuff. And apparently she can hit enemies in the air, but she's just alright. Her AI is not that good, even though they got the AI rework, which was the only kind of quote-unquote balance change we got, which was her AI getting buffed, quote-unquote. Again, I'm not sure if it did get buffed, because she's still bad. She's still not good. When you're trying to build her, her PL does not go up by much, and she doesn't have much effect on her team. So that's just what I've heard. That's what I played with as well in the Maelstrom and stuff like that. So that's all. So anyways, feel free if you think Fubuki is like meta, right? If you think she is insanely good, please let me know. If you think any of these players deserve to be a higher or lower tier than it is, please let me know in the comments down below. I will be happy to respond, and we can kind of discuss things, and maybe you'll change my mind in the future. So when I make another tier list video, you might see your character all the way up in meta, right? You might see your Fubuki all the way up here, right? So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video, this tier list video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great one, guys. Peace out.